Have you ever seen a price tag and thought, why is this so much more expensive all of a sudden? It's not always inflation or a shipping error. Sometimes it's because your country decided to send a message to another country. But instead of using missiles or tanks, they use something much quieter: tariffs. Tariffs are like a country's version of sending a little slap across the ocean. The thing is, it's not the government that suffers, it's you and everyone else who buy stuff from abroad. So let's break it down. What's the deal with tariffs? And why do countries use them to punish each other? Okay, let's start simple. A tariff is basically a tax on imported goods. That means if a country, like the US, places a tariff on something coming from abroad, say Chinese cars, it makes those cars more expensive for people who want to buy them. Let's say the price of a car from China is $25,000. If the government slaps a tariff of 10%, suddenly that car costs $27,500. That extra $2,500 isn't for the car manufacturer, it's for the government. In theory, this helps local manufacturers because it makes foreign products pricier, which might encourage people to buy local instead. But here's the catch: things aren't always as straightforward as they seem. Let's get to the meat of it. Countries don't just slap tariffs on stuff because they like taxing people. They use tariffs as a way to make a statement. Let's say country A is upset with country B for stealing intellectual property, treating workers unfairly, or doing something else that raises the tension. Instead of going the old school route like cutting diplomatic ties or declaring war, country A says, all right, we'll make your goods more expensive for us to buy. In the world of geopolitics, it's not about direct confrontation, it's about sending a financial message. And that's where tariffs come in economic warfare without a single bullet being fired. So it's not always about making a sale cheaper for your country. It's about forcing another country to feel the pressure of a well aimed tax. Let's take a real example from 2018. The US China trade war was a perfect case of tariffs being used as a power move. The US slapped tariffs on Chinese goods worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Everything from technology to clothes to furniture, all taxed heavily. China didn't sit back. They came back with their own tariffs on US goods, like agricultural products and cars. What did this accomplish? Well, businesses started paying more for imported goods, and that cost got passed down to regular people. American farmers couldn't sell their crops. Chinese manufacturers couldn't compete on price. And prices for consumers went up on everything from electronics to food. So, who won the trade war? Nobody. But the damage was done. Tariffs created ripples across the global economy, leaving both sides worse off. Let's be real. Tariffs aren't always about fairness. Sometimes they're a political move. Governments might raise tariffs right before an election to look tough on foreign countries. It makes them look like they're standing up for local businesses, defending jobs, and keeping foreign competition in check. But here's the twist. Behind the scenes, these decisions are often made to appease big corporations who don't want to compete with cheap foreign imports. In this case, tariffs are used more for domestic popularity than for any legitimate economic reason. You might be wondering, do tariffs actually help? Well, yes and no. On one hand, tariffs can protect local industries. Let's say you're a country with a new tech startup and you're trying to compete against cheaper imports. A tariff might give your local businesses a fighting chance to get their foot in the door. But when it comes to larger, richer countries, tariffs aren't always so friendly. You see, while tariffs hurt the other country, they often end up hurting your own economy in the process. When products from another country get more expensive, people in your country feel the pain. Tariffs don't exist in isolation. Once one country raises tariffs, other countries typically retaliate. It's like a domino effect. One tariff leads to another. For example, if one country raises tariffs on a certain product, the other country might hit back by doing the same to your country's goods. Soon, this can escalate and spread to more industries. At first, it might just be cars, then phones, then food, and before you know it, your economy is in the middle of a full-blown trade war. The problem is, everyone loses. Supply chains get interrupted, prices increase, jobs are lost, It's like poking a hornet's nest. You think you're striking at the enemy, but you're just creating chaos for everyone involved. If tariffs go too far, they can actually make things worse for both sides. Take the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act from the Great Depression. The US passed it in 1930, raising tariffs on thousands of goods from other countries. But instead of protecting the US economy, it backfired. Other countries retaliated, global trade collapsed, and the Great Depression got even worse. So, what does this teach us? Tariffs can be a double edged sword. They may look good in the short term, but they can easily spiral out of control and hurt the global economy in ways we never imagined. So, who ends up paying for all of this? You. Yes, tariffs are supposed to punish the other country, but in reality, consumers are the ones who pay the price. When a tariff is added to an imported product, it doesn't just affect the manufacturer or the government. The final price tag ends up being higher for you, the person buying the product. So, the next time you see a price jump on something you've been eyeing, just remember, it might be because of a tariff.